Okay, hi. Welcome to Advent. My name is Gabriella. I'm the pastor here, and we will start eventually once we have a bishop. Apparently, I mean, they're driving down from Reno and running a little bit late. So we have a fantastically talented organist and pianist, Jamal, and just enjoy the music. Jamal, go all the way out. Welcome to Advent Lutheran Church here in Citrus Heights. Welcome folks from conferences 3, 4, and 8, and whoever else is here. My name is Gabriela Schroeder. I'm the pastor here and the new dean of the conference. And Mark, do you want to come forward? And Charlene too.
Hi, welcome everybody, and thank you so much for being here to welcome our interim bishop. And Bishop, welcome to you. We're really pleased to have you here today. And on behalf of Conference 8, we're pleased with having this opportunity to gather with everybody here and enjoy this time together.
He has better manners than I. He welcomed you.
So I'm Pastor Charlene. I'm the pastor at Faith Lutheran in Meadow Vista, Conference 4. Several of our people, I saw their names go through on the live stream, so hello to the live stream folks. And thanks to our musician who has disappeared now. And thanks for your patience as we gather together, and welcome.
Okay, so we'll turn it over immediately, I think, to Interim Bishop Claire Burkat. And can we test your mic? Dave, is that on?
Is this on? No? Test?
No, we didn't do anything.
They just let me come in and they gave me some water.
It's a brand new mic. I don't know this model
Okay,
yet.
testing.
Good.
Testing.
Good.
Hi, Jason. Saw him last night. See, I'm getting to know people.
Okay.
What? You're in your uniform. Before I begin, can I take a picture of you? Because you can go out, and I'll start here so you have a chance. Okay. Okay, so let's do this. This crowd, just wait. Listen, I'm going to put this on my personal Facebook page, which after I start, can you all hear me? Yes. I'm not, because the people in the East, I have a lot of friends who are not Lutheran. I posted last night who are saying, what? Because I said, well, you know, pray for the Sierra Pacific synods, pray for your own synod, pray for your congregation, pray for your own self. And then I said, and for those of you who are not Lutheran, I think I have some splaining to do. And they're like, what? What are you doing? What are you doing? So what I thought I would do is what I think I'll do when I get here, because we don't want everything all over the ELCA, right? Too late. Okay, let me rephrase that. We're going to control what goes out as best we can. And so I'm asking Catherine to set up a interim bishop or Bishop Burkat Facebook page that would be, for the Sierra Pacific Synod. Not everybody I know. And I have other things to tell them. I just show them. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Wait, this is separate. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, this center. 1, 2, 3, hi. Okay, go. I'm not videotaping it, so they didn't hear that. I'll get in a second. I'm taking my photos now. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. Wait. Good. All right. That's it. That's all I need.
You could go panoramic so make it look much bigger.
I know, but that's so fancy. Well, let me open with a word of prayer. Lord, we know that called or not called, you are with us. You are already present. You go before us. You go behind us. You go above us. You go beneath us. When we pray, you hear us. When we don't pray, you hear us. when our sighs are too deep for words, you have promised to hear us. And so at this time and for this journey together, I pray for all the saints of the Sierra Pacific Synod and for everyone in every denomination. This is a hard time, not just for the church, but for our country and for the traumas that we've all suffered, including a pandemic and now war in Ukraine and a recession and Supreme Court decisions that don't make everybody happy and so many things. Let us keep in mind that when we are feeling well, we strengthen others and pick them up. And when we ourselves need a break, we take a break. So help us together to love one another as you have loved us and give us guidance and direction for this incredible future, which is far more than we ever could hope for or imagine. You promised it to us, and we will claim it. Amen. Oh, yeah. What I don't know. I forgot I had this on. So let me just say a couple of things about myself and my discernment to come here, because some of you are probably thinking, why are you here? And who are you? I invite you to look at my resume, because I'm not going to do a whole thing of everything, but I would like to spend my time before I take thoughts and questions and reflections on my discernment in coming here, okay? And, okay, so it's been only 2 weeks. I'm retired, by the way. Did anyone tell you that? Now, the good part, yeah, that's why. But the good part is I've been retired 4 years. We have a wonderful new bishop. Everything is going well. I'm not work in my own former synod. I've been doing work in other synods still. It's the computer? Okay, good. Hey, to all the people online, I don't know who you are, but you can send questions, I guess, in. But say your name. One thing I will ask is if you're going to ask a question, say your name and the congregation you belong to, because I don't know if you all know each other, but let's just learn this together. So I was following the, this is a good word, a good Yiddish word I'm going to teach you today, Mishigash. Anybody know the Mishigash? It means crazy time. I was following the Mishigash, like everybody else. I call it like the birds on the telephone wire, looking around. Oh, look what's going on over there. And then it was the night of January 6th. I know it for sure because I wanted to go see the January 6th. No. I wanted to see the January 6 hearings with a friend, and we were going to make dinner together and then watch the hearings. So I'm pulling into the parking lot of a grocery store to say, what do we want? What's your name?
Amy Kinsley.
Amy.
Yep.
Oh, you look so familiar.
Yeah, I'm from,
Metro New York.
Bishop in Southeast Michigan or New York?
New York.
Both, so, okay.
Okay, I just was looking at you. I thought, I know you from small world. Welcome. Anyway, so I was pulling in, and I see the presiding bishop is calling me. I went, oh no. I was with my friend. The presiding bishop is calling me. I said, go in. Do you know Wegmans, that store? I said, go in Wegmans and leave me in the car. I had to talk to her alone. So I said, what's going on? She was in Geneva, Switzerland, and at the Lutheran World Federation. So for her, it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And she said, I want to ask you if you would consider being the interim bishop for the Sierra Pacific Synod. This was after your assembly, right? It wasn't before, nothing before. And I said, is there a job description for this? And she, other than like the constitutional description for a bishop, and she said no. So I said, are you expecting me to give you an answer right now, like in the parking lot? And she said, no. I said, well, I need a couple of days. Yeah, so she said, I'll call you back in a couple of days. So I actually put it out of my mind. I told my friend, and then we watched the hearings. We just had a nice evening because I didn't want to be discussing it with somebody who was really hit me hard. And I honestly, somebody who's not a pastor and everything, I would have to explain the whole thing. I did not want to. So I went to bed, and I got up so early the next morning, and I was feeling fear in my heart. I thought to myself, what am I afraid of? I'm afraid that there's no boundaries, that there's no job description, that I'm going to get there and be either like treated like I'm the Messiah, like I'm going to fix it, or I'm the spawn of Satan. And I thought, I don't want the presiding bishop to send me in from the home office. I have to tell you, I knew that was a dynamic that I don't really need right now. So anyway, I thought I was trying to get in touch with my fear. And one of the things, so I wrote a job description for my own self. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give this to Bishop Eaton, and if she doesn't say yes to this, I'm not going. You know that whole scripture, you leave your family and you have so many excuses. Okay, so in the job description that I wrote, it was basically, here's the job description for the bishop, which has to be done. That's how a synod works. Whereby somebody has a job and they're doing it and that's the bishop's job. It's in the Constitution. But then I said, there's a lot of healing that needs to be done. I will find out what you're already doing. If necessary, I will appoint other things. But I'm not going to be doing the healing. I'm going to help provide opportunity for healing because the job of the bishop has to be done. And so that's all part of lowering the temperature by having a safe place where the regular work is being done. So that's what I've thought. Is that Dave Muller? Yes. What? Did you all just move here during the pandemic and didn't tell me? Oh, okay. That's true. You have been. So, I forgot.
Did he wear a mask before he took it off?
He took his mask off of them. All right, so anyway, then I was basically saying, and I will not even come to Sierra Pacific unless the Synod Council invites me for minimum of 4 days so that I can see the territory and talk to the people to see if I trust you. It's not do you trust me just, it's like both. Because there's no trust if it's not mutual. But I knew I was new, so I knew it wouldn't happen right like that. But I said, I want to meet with the staff and the Synod Council. I was thinking I would spend the 4 days, if I came, going to the territory. That's why I'm north, because I know you can just stand with, and I'm an urban person, but I know even in our metropolitan Philadelphia area, people complain, you don't love the rural areas, So, okay, I said, no, I know enough that I have to go north and if I'm being considered, but I didn't realize that the Synod Council was already set for Saturday, which means it had to be voted before my big trip. I thought, I'll do this trip and then we'll have a vote, and it didn't happen that way. So it doesn't always, I don't get things my way. So anyway, I didn't get, so anyway, I told the presiding bishop, here's my resume, here are my references, please call the references. Because I picked people who I know would help me, who are connected to some of the sore points in the synod, who I know from from years of being in the church. Anyway, so she was happy to hear that, and she said, okay, I'm gonna tell Gail, your vice president, that you said you would consider it. So Gail and I, okay, so that was like a week ago. Gail and I had a 2-hour Zoom meeting. Before I tell you that, I said to God, okay, if this is your will, I want to see some signs. ask for whatever you want, right? I will listen to you. So I asked for some signs. And so one of the first signs was talking to Gail. And I've told her this before, and she's going to be sick of hearing it. But basically, we had a 2-hour Zoom meeting on a Saturday night a week ago. And she was honest. She was humble. I appreciated what she wrote on behalf of the Synod Council at the end of the assembly. I thought admitting mistakes were made, and I thought, good. And Gail and I clicked, and I felt she was being honest and trustworthy, and I felt I could be honest. And so, but there were times when we would say something, and we would say, well, if I come, we will talk about that another time, because we wanted to make the most of our 2 hours, because we had to decide at the end of the conversation, was I coming or not? Okay, that's how fast it had to happen. So then I said I would come. My friend said to me, are you feeling excited? I said, well, I'm going to fly out. I'm going to go. By the way, Churchwide paid for my plane ticket and my hotel. Just so you know, they should get credit for that. Give them credit. And so, middle seats, and no direct flight. But that's what happens when you have 3 days to book a flight from Philadelphia to San Francisco. So anyway, my friend said, are you getting excited? I said, no. I said, I'm not allowing myself to get excited. I don't know the people. All I know is Gail. That's the only person I know. And I know the presiding bishop, and I know that the Synod Council is meeting on Saturday, and that they're going to have me meet with the staff. So I will meet with the staff all day, and I will meet with the Synod Council all day, and then there'll be a vote. And only then, the next day, will I go to some churches in Oakland, and then I was in Sacramento last night, and then I went to Reno today, and now I'm back. That's why we're late. But anyway, so, okay, I'm just going to stop there to just tell you a little bit about myself. And so, you want to hear what the Holy Spirit, how the Holy Spirit gave me some signs. Well, one sign was talking with Gail. That was the first one. Another one was, as I thought about it, and my anxiety went down, I thought to myself, well, you're single. You're in good health. You don't have a dog.
That needs to change.
Yeah. Gary wants me to have a dog.
Do you have a cat?
No, I have no cat. I have no animals. I mean, I don't hate them. Don't go telling people I hate the animals. But I like to be free. I mean, I have free time in my life. And my parents are gone. And actually just 3 months ago, there's another sign, buried 2 of my closest friends for 40 years. And I did this, and they're both not Lutheran. I did this service for both of them. Had this been called in April, I wouldn't have come. Went from January through April, not doing anything, thinking 2 of my friends are going to die. Their funerals within a week of each other. Okay, so, when you're getting older, you have friends who die, and it's like, okay. So anyway, I came out, and I had some other Holy Spirit things that I'll let you know as it goes along, because it didn't just happen like before I got on the plane. And so I thought, well, honestly, I could do this. If I wanted to, I could do it. I could come out. Then I said, I'm not going to come and stay here, or I want to go back. I want to go back to my people. So about every 3 weeks, I'll be on the territory, 3 or 4 weeks, depending on what else is going on, like churchwide assembly. Then I'm going to fly back for 2 weeks. And that way I can just be with people who know me and love me, and I'm not like, the bishop all the time, and I can go out to dinner with people and, I go back to my doctors, and I actually have a dental cleaning I have to. Now I'm looking at the calendar, and I'm like, all those little things that you do. But anyways. I don't want a new dentist. I don't want to I'm not going to be here that long. Then I have to change my doctors. No, it's not happening. But anyway, so why? You don't know that much about me. Some of you do. But I was bishop of the Southeastern Pennsylvania Synod, which is the greater 5-county Philadelphia area for 2 terms, for 12 years. Before I was bishop, I was the mission director, which means, we called it mission director, the DEM. I started 16 new congregations. I liked being a mission director better than being bishop. And I have wonderful stories, and of the 16 that I started, like 11 were multicultural. Everything from Russian, deaf, the deaf ministry, Latine, African nationals. One of the African nationals in our Liberian church started a counseling center out of their church for victims of torture, partnering with LSS, Lutheran Children and Family Services, set up a counseling center, and then it became Pan-African, because in West Philadelphia, in the Delaware area, there were a lot of different, like Ethiopian, Congo, some of the places that have had torture. So African American, it's a hugely black city, Philadelphia, as you know. And, I've been a member of ADLA. Do you know what ADLA is? African Descent Lutheran Association. I've been a paying member of ADLA for 15 years. And so anyway, so it's urban and it's multicultural. I would not have come here if it was not multicultural. I will say that. You know why? Because I don't do as great with all white people as I do. I grew up in New York, born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens. I like diversity. I think that's great. And so, okay. And so I was also co-convener of the Interfaith Council of Philadelphia for 12 years, and on the Bishop's Ready Bench for immigration reform, and a number of things that are on my resume. So for everything culturally that's not a fit for me here, like the big geography, and your history, like I saw the Donner Stone on the way. Like I gotta read about that. We're like doing Underground Railroad stuff in the East Coast. You got people on wagon trains with stories. So I've already run into cultural differences. Don't wear pantyhose and don't wear all that black. You're going to get some of me, and I'm going to get some of you. Yeah. So anyway, so I told this to the Synod Council, and I will tell to you, and then we'll just open it up, because we have a lot to learn about each other. I'm with you. I'm here. I'm committed to this. I feel God is sending me to you and to me for whatever reasons. And every time I've been sent on a new adventure, I've been blessed and stretched more than I ever imagined. So as I meet people, the anxiety for me is coming down. And so that's great. So I said this to the Synod Council. Well, if I wanted to put it into some kind of category so you get to know me better, as bishop, if I were to write a book about being bishop in the southeastern Pennsylvania Synod, don't forget, Philadelphia has a lot of drama. I'm used to people yelling at me. And being born and raised in New York, my feelings don't get hurt that easily. It takes a lot to hurt my feelings. So, I'm not that I'm insensitive, but I'm not very fragile. I'm more resilient than this person. But if I was to write a book, it would have 4 chapters. The first chapter would be, if I knew then what I know now. And I have a lot of stories about that, but one of the things I learned very early on is that some of the things that I had planned did not work out, and it was way better, multiplying better. I'll give you just like one little thing on that one. So my first year being a mission director, I was going to start, another one new mission every year, And the very first year, my mother died, my father died, my former mother-in-law died, 2 friends died. This is my first year. And my ex-husband almost died, and my brother almost died. Okay? And that was the first year. And so I was grieving, and I didn't have the capacity to do all these things like I had not a family thing. What came out of that, just as an example, because I was dealing with so many things, the very first year, we started getting teams, lay teams and clergy teams. We have 48 teams in Southeast Penn Synod. It started from me not thinking I could do everything. So I keep that in mind. You know, we will find out together, because you're going to be, I would love, well, one thing I would love to have, to organize so that you all are doing something so that it's already in place for the new bishop. Yeah, wouldn't that be great? And then you can move on and maximize what you're already doing very well, like Lutheran Social Services. You know, that's your justice ministry and your advocacy and policy. Okay, so if I knew then what I know now, and I was regaling Gail all the way up to Reno and back with some scary stories in Southeast Penn, like a murder, you know, which was on Dateline, you know, shooting a secretary in the head. I mean, it was on Dateline, and it was a terrible thing. The second thing would be, if I knew there was, it seemed like a good idea. It seemed like a good idea at the time, and there were a lot of things. One of the things that seemed like a good idea at the time that turned out better was, it was 2006, and I wanted to move the synod office from the suburbs to the city of Philadelphia, back where it used to be in the old days. The Queen Lane, if anyone knew the old LCA publishing house, was there. But I thought, oh, this would be good, because we'd have public transportation to the synod office. And where were we going to go? To the seminary at Philadelphia that had free parking, because suburban people don't want to pay for their parking. They want to, so we were going to build in the undercroft of the chapel, and we had actually raised money for it and built out to the community so we could have like flea markets and food stuff out there and everything. And then I got a call from the President Cray, who was the president of the seminary at the time. I was in New York for an installation of Bishop Rimbaud, and he said it was October 2008. And he said, the stock market just crashed. And I thought, oh, wow. I mean, thank God we didn't take out $1 million mortgage. And I caught just in time. I mean, so we just canceled everything, and we went and put our offices in the student housing dorms kind of place. We were there for like 10 years. No, but 10 years. I mean, talk about, you know, yeah, cheap. They weren't so cheap. They charged us, I'll tell you that. And we renegotiated. But in the recession, nobody accused us of spending our money on rent, which was a good thing. And I had to cut the synod budget in 2007, 2008, which I'm sure you did too, by 25%. And that meant staff and everything. So thank God we didn't have that. So that was just another good example of, I thought we had a great plan, and then the world came in, which is happening to us now, right? All over the place. So we have to say, plan something, but be ready to pivot at any time. So if I knew then what I know now, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Mistakes were made. Mistakes were made would be the third chapter. It's always good, and it's so against the culture to admit when you made a mistake. To humbly say, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. I didn't pay attention to your feelings. You know, there's so many ways in which mistakes are made. Honestly, one of the good things is that I had a good team, people love me, who can tell me, you're getting ahead of yourself, Claire. I had a coach, a professional coach, and a spiritual director for my first years, who could tell me my own triggers. You know, what's going to get me jacked up, or what do I need to stop? And one of the ideas that the coach talked to me about, he said, Claire, you love new ideas. This is going to be a problem for me here, because the interim is supposed to like heal and get you all settled. And I like dreaming up new stuff. The trouble is, and I even did this in retirement in my other two jobs I did, I like the new stuff and then I have to do all the old stuff. Now I'm working all the time. Now I'm a workaholic. That's what workaholics do. So that was my son was afraid of. He said, you're going to go out there and you're just going to start working like you always do. And you know, you say you're going to come back and then you're just going to keep working. But anyway, so I will need people to say that's too much. Not like a monitoring, but like that idea we don't want to do now. We need to pause. There's a lot of healing that has to happen here, and you need to pause. Okay, and I need to pause with you. My tendency is to dream up new things. I'll try to give some hints of what could work here to make things more practical for you, but it's not the same as dreaming up a new, mission or something like that. Not going to do that here. And then the last, if you love me, feed my sheep. And honestly, I could tell you stories about hurting times. And usually when trauma hurts or a crisis hurts, you don't plan for it. Your character is shown by how you deal with it. Suffering produces endurance. Endurance produces character. Character produces hope. And hope does not disappoint. You're going through that right now. You're in the middle of it. Embrace it as part of God's way of strengthening you for the work you need to do. And I tell you, I hope that the healing we do in the Sierra Pacific Synod will bless the whole church. Because you know what? The constitutions of the ELCA were written in 1983 to bring three big denominations together. And it's like merging two churches. They didn't want to give away any of their furniture. They wanted everything. They wanted all their pastors. And it was written by men, who were 20th century men, and that was 38 years ago. It hasn't been updated. There was no social media. I mean, we weren't even using fax machines in 1983. And so those are the kind of things, what am I saying? I'm saying some of the things that have caught us is protocols and constitutional requirements by the ELCA because it's a good constitution. And honestly, I'd rather fight for the ELCA than other denominations because with my interfaith work, I know almost all the other denominations, like the Episcopal Church and things. There's no perfect one. So we might as well work with the one we know and see if we can update it for the future. You know, some of you look like you've been around a while. And so, you know how it used to be. Somebody would have an idea and we would take a year with committees to talk about it. Nobody under 40 is going to put up with that anymore, And honestly, you don't need a committee for everything. You don't. And besides, now we had a pandemic. So we know how to do things another way. Please don't be a rubber band and go back to the old way. We have some choices. That's all I'm saying. We have some choices. But this is another holy thing that happened to me. Well, we had some visitors, I'm going to tell you who came to the Synod Council meeting and were graciously welcomed by Gail and were given some time to talk, prescribed time, as I was given as time to talk. And I talked about the 4 chapters, just like I did with you, although I gave some different kind of examples. And I said, and if you love me, feed my sheep. Now, the rest of that passage is, when you're younger, you tie your belt and you go wherever you want to go. But when you get older, somebody else will tie a belt around you and take you where you do not want to go. Now, I'm reading this as a retired person being asked to come to the Sierra Pacific Synod. It wasn't lost on me that I never noticed that part. I never preached on that part. I never noticed that part of the scripture before. But the person who was talking and was pouring his heart out, he used a scripture. What scripture do you think he used? If you love me, feed my sheep. I don't think that was an accident. I think that was the Spirit weaving what we need to do. And my chills went through me. I just was like, oh, wow. That was not an accident because he was reading from remarks, so he wouldn't go off track. So anyway, I'm going to open it up. You can see that these are the kind of things now I had the synod council. They took a lot of time, which I thought was good. The deans, you had to wait a long time, didn't you? And were you wondering what the heck's going on?
Well, we were nervous.
Wait, I will tell you one other Holy Spirit thing. I don't want to forget this. Gail and I, one thing I knew, I could work with her. And by the way, Simon Wong is going to be a great vice president. He was there for everything. And Simon said to me, he and I are going to go on the road together. He's going to take off from work so he can go. So that's the interim bishop and the vice president. So I just think that was a blessing. But anyway, we said the Zoom meeting the week before, if I'm coming in on the 25th, and then we have the Synod Council meeting, and then it's going to be a vote on affirming the choice of the presiding bishop, then everybody has to get the same message at the same time. This is what's been happening in the ELCA. If there's what would you call it? A gap. People make stuff up. Have you noticed that? They're making stuff up. So I said, well, and Gail absolutely said, we want, first of all, the Synod Council. We want the staff at the meeting. They don't get to vote, but they need to also privately, when I walk out of the room, say what they want to say. We had some guests. We had, but they didn't vote either. Then the deans, we met with the deans. They were waiting in the wings. And then, in the meantime, the presiding bishop sent to the Conference of Bishops, because they were getting mad that they were hearing things on Facebook and no one told them. They didn't like that either. So now you have all the bishops mad. And so he said, then the bishops, then it goes to the Sierra Pacific Synod, and then it goes to the church-wide. Wait, Church Council of the ELCA. See, this is all constitutional stuff. So they were all there. We said within a half an hour, all of them will hear it at the time. And I said, Bishop Eaton promised, and I said, no, do you promise? Do you promise? Because we don't want somebody in the communication of the ELCA sending it out on Wednesday. That would have been a disaster. And I promise you, if we can handle things that don't need to be a crisis by just thinking ahead, what's a good way to inform people, we're going to be doing it. Did you notice how smoothly it went out and the temperature went down? Is anybody on ELCA Facebook? Some of you are. It's just calming down. People just want to know what's going on, because if they don't, they make stuff up, or they listen to somebody who claims to know. And so that's that. All right, so that's what I've been doing this weekend.
I think you can field your own questions, right? They are, just pay attention. Those are the questions eventually that will be coming in online. Can you read those? Or do you need somebody to...
So, no, I can read them. I could get my glasses on. That wouldn't. I could pretend that I don't need glasses. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we take one online and one here?
Exactly, that's good.
See, I'm already planning. Fairness. Fair. We got to be... Yeah. All right, so... What's the question here? Is there a question?
No.
Okay, we'll start with you. There's no question. Say your name and your congregation. No, we're not looking at that yet. We're doing us first. They weren't ready to go. Oh, yes. What?
Sorry, do you want to use that? Yeah, we should be...
Why is this not? Oh, yeah, that's what, Gabby, you could do that. Yeah. That would be great. Stand up, please. Say your name and
I could probably project, but
it's for those online.
okay.
They don't hear you otherwise.
Good evening. My name is Regina Banks. I'm the director of the Lutheran Office of Public Policy and also the board chair of LSS of
I
Northern
heard
California.
about you yesterday.
Oh, criminy.
Carol told me.
Oh, nice.
And
nice.
I thought, well, maybe we could get together in August when all the pastors are on vacation.
Yes, please. Yes, please. My question is, given the size of the territory, where do you plan to live?
I don't know yet. I probably closer, probably closer to San Francisco, but I don't know. Maybe I want to be able to get places by the car. Maybe not in town. Yeah. Why do you have a suggestion?
As director of LOPP, and given that the Bishop of the Sierra Pacific Synod is also often our go-to person to go to the Capitol, I would like to put in a special bid, if you haven't decided anywhere else, for Sacramento County or someplace that is that is with a comfortable drive of our beautiful state capital.
Now, how often am I going to be going to the Capitol?
If you join with us as often as I can get you down
Well, okay, now see, it's already starting, people putting in their dibs. I will say this. Is my mic off? I will say this. When I told my friends that I'm coming here, they said they would visit. So some of the times I won't be going home, I will be having friends visit. So in that sense, I want to be able to see the state, and Nevada. So anyway, but I need to get an apartment. So if you know of an apartment, and it has to be 2-bedroom. I put that in my prayer to God, and I said 2-bed, so that when friends come, they have a place to stay with me. Okay. Well, let's do one online. What happened to the online? Oh, well, can.
Seems to be a longer question.
Pastor Paul Thies, retired. Wait.
If called to mediate a conflict, will you apply the due process and fair procedure guidelines of ELCA Constitution Article 20? Can we have the rest? Okay. Including rebuttal and cross-examination, giving opportunity for rebuttal and cross-examination, and the last one was? And written report. Okay.
I'm not answering that now. We need time for this. This will come. I'll deal with it as it comes up. And I have people I will be calling for help. I'm not making this up by myself, and I'll be asking for a lot of help, and especially constitutional or anything constitutional. But also mediation is something too. Mediation is not in the Constitution in the same way. We could use a little mediation in this church. But I'm not going to be answering these, what will you do, if I just got here. Not even home yet. Not even packed. Okay, another question from the floor.
So you answered this question. You answered this question once for the deans, but I think it would be helpful to know.
What's your name again? Say it for her.
Pastor Charlene, Faith Lutheran, Meadow Vista. Wondering, is there a projected timeline for things as far as your position as interim bishop? Is this something that's going to be a short term or a long term, or is there any projection?
We've talked about that a lot. I feel comfortable answering somewhat. First I said, and then I say, I don't always get my way. So this is an example of it. I said, I think I'd like to be gone by next year's Synod Assembly in June, and a new bishop. And what did I do? I called Bishop Tracy Bartholomew, who is the chair of the Conference of Bishops, and I said, Tracy, what do you think? This is behind the scenes. I did my due diligence on you. I know a lot of people did it on me. And I said, then I'll do it. I think a year is good, but she said, oh no, Claire. She said, the people of the Sierra Pacific Synod just need a really nice, calm Synod Assembly. And then she said, Bishop Mark spent an extra year because of the pandemic. There was a year before you didn't even have an assembly. And then you had the Mishigash of this assembly. Now you're going to learn these Yiddish words, which are very descriptive. And she said, no, and Gail knows this, the Constitution, if you're talking about Constitution, we're not just making this up, it's in the Constitution. It would need to, it didn't have to be that, what is it, June? What is it, first week in June or something? It can be within the year in a special election. And so the idea is that it'd probably be good to get through next year, celebrate the ministry you all have been doing this year, and then have a special election for bishop. Bill Wong! Oh my gosh! We have to talk. I've been calling Simon Bill Wong all weekend because we worked together like 30 years ago in mission work. Good to see you. But anyway, so I think that probably, I mean, I didn't want to commit like a year and a half, and certainly I don't like the idea of 2 years. But the good news is, let me keep it moving along because I'm not going to drag it out. But I do agree with, that's a good example of what I thought was a good idea was not a good idea. And another seasoned bishop talked me down and said, no, we're not, I don't think that's good. And I listen, because I listen to people I respect, and when they give me a good reason why it's not a good idea, I'd let it go. And so, a special assembly just for that, without the other business, I think it's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Boring assembly.
No, it'll never be boring. It might be energizing, but it won't be chaos. You know, my therapist said to me one time, years ago, you know, Claire, you can have adventure without chaos. Just decide what fun things you want to do and plan it. And find your own adventure. And this is an adventure for me. It is an adventure. And I like adventures. Why is this coming off?
It's an online question.
Oh, an online question. A question from Pastor Dan Smith, Incarnation Davis.
Be able to read this better. Just behind you, sorry. It's larger.
Oh, okay. Pastor Dan Smith, Incarnation Davis. As a bishop, what is the theology that guides your oversight of the synod, and how that might be relevant to the crisis we have gone through? Thanks in advance. I think I talked a little bit about that in my opening remarks. If you love me, feed my sheep, tend my lambs. I honestly, I won't go into the specifics of it, but early on in my first year, I had a very terrible sexual misconduct of, I won't even say where it's from. And I took care of it right away with evidence, okay? I mean, hard evidence. And I remember leaving the people who were harmed that day and thinking, this is what it means to have the crozier. You're a shepherd. The shepherd is not walking around as the shepherd. The shepherd sometimes has to whack someone and protect the sheep. And that's one of the things that, the theology of whacking. No, I don't like that. But sometimes, think about all the ways. Sometimes the crozier helps somebody out of the crevice and saves a little one. Sometimes, because when I was elected, they said something like, how are you, the good shepherd? You know, when I was elected, at my election, you know, like at the synod. And I said, I don't think of myself as a shepherd. I think of myself as a sheepdog, you know, running around and helping the shepherd. That's how I thought of myself until that day when somebody needed to be sent away in a big way from that. So, what can I say? I'm a mission. I will tell you, your guiding theology has much to do with your spiritual gifts, and I'm a mission developer. I'm always on about evangelism. I'm always about planting the church. midwife for birthing, new starts, and things like that. But as bishop, I would say, John, if you love me, feed my sheep, protect my lambs. Yeah. What else? Oh. How do you hope to connect and support the youth of this synod? I'm going to find out what you're already doing. We went up to where were we today? Holy Cross, and to the VBS. It was wonderful. It was a very exciting day. I'll be posting that. I think I'll find out where this is not a youth assembly year, youth gathering year. No, because it was postponed. So I'll probably not be around when the next one comes by. But I think I don't know, we can gather the people who are doing youth ministry, find out what you're doing, and then maximize what you're already doing. That's what I like to do. Take what's doing and saying, how can we do this? How can we multiply what we're already doing? Does that answer your question, Elizabeth Hood? How will I know if I did? How will I know? Yes.
Hi, Mark Price, St. Paul's Lodi, and I'm also the dean of our conference. And so I'd ask the pastors to send some questions to me, see if I could bring them together. Most of the questions are reflecting the what are you going to do about ism kind of questions, which you're not going to answer, and all that. But a question that I would like to ask is, you've talked about your job description that you wrote for yourself, which I think is brilliant and great and wonderful. You've talked about the job description that you wrote, for yourself to come here, which I think is brilliant and great. But the question then is so how will you know you're done? What is the goal of your time with us? What is the thing there?
I'll give you two answers to that.
Okay.
One is a new bishop is elected. I didn't die. And the Spirit will tell me when it's time to leave, the way the Spirit nudged me to come. The Spirit did not hurt me, but opened my eyes. When I retired as bishop, somebody recommended a therapist to me for transit. The therapist had a specialty in life transitions, and adult children. Now, who can't use help with adult children? But what I did was I would go, and the synod paid for it and made time for me to go every month of the whole last year, because there's a lot of groups, the ecumenical groups and the advocacy groups, and then the congregations and the deans and the pastors, the retired pastors. We have to say goodbye to all of them. Oh, yes, there's a retirement. I really feel bad that Bishop Mark didn't get a retirement. But nobody did in the pandemic. So there's not a lot of closure, and I think there's part of that's here that's underneath in some ways that maybe we would want to unpack. But so I went every month, and you know what? If anybody's thinking about retiring now, most of people when they retire, they think just the year, not the year. But when you're a bishop, you either re-up for another 6 years, and I call that third term kryptonite. So that was not happening, and I was also old enough to retire. So I would go to her, and sometimes I'd say, oh, I'm going to miss this job so much. Oh, I had such a really good day. I don't know what I'm going to do. And she'd remind me of the day I said, I can't stand this anymore. I need my freedom. And so she did a nice balancing of what do we want to talk about today, what's coming up. Okay, you're going to be saying goodbye to the retired pastors. I knew them. I mean, I buried them. I've been in Southeast Penn my whole ministry. And when I was a young woman coming out of seminary, they were in their 50s. So now I'm in my 50s, they're in their 80s. And so I was burying them. So I had to unpack that. So I'm good at transitions. I'll know I want to go home. And then I hope that people will say, you're not finished yet, or yes, you are finished, and God will help me decide. Because you can see I'm really quite charismatic. I could easily be Pentecostal. And and I love that. And so I look for signs that God's I like to look for signs that God's Spirit is active. You know, this surprised me. I didn't know who was going to be here. Just the fact that you all came out is a big surprise to me. It's a beautiful surprise. I'm feeling very good because you want to meet me. I mean, do you know how many trips up here this saved just by all of you here? Before I even go back and pack, see, we maximize. Yeah, but and I come back, and then when you ask, I'm going to have to come up with some kind of a schedule for preaching in churches because it can't be a free-for-all. It has to be strategic. You know, when I'm going here, when am I going here? This community, that community. I will say two things to you. You have a beautiful treasure here. And your multicultural, your diversity is your greatest treasure. There are very few synods in the whole ELCA as diverse as you. And so things blew up. Yes, they blew up, but some places they couldn't even blow up because they don't even have the diversity to blow up. So, and you know what? Because you're diverse, you're going to be attracting younger people. If you can be kind to each other and work it out and model how to do it. But think about this. You can't make people come here if they don't want to come here to be part of this. So let's see the diversity as a true gift from God. Your weather is gorgeous. Your territory is beautiful. Your problems are also very magnificent. One, the cost of living here. You know, the cost of housing here. So I'm aware of that. And as Gail, I reminded Gail many times, at least you don't have to worry about cemeteries, 200, 300-year-old cemeteries on the church properties, okay? So, every synod has something that's their challenge and their treasure. Okay.
There was one response online to you from Elizabeth Hood, who responded to you. As Elizabeth is a youth director at
good.
Grace Lutheran in Palo Alto. So she invites you to come to the Sierra Pacific Synod Youth Committee.
Okay, well, Elizabeth, if you hear me out there, give me the date and send it to JJ, and we'll see. And we'll, and maybe an afternoon with as many people as can come with youth from all over the synod. Okay?
And now there is another question.
Okay. From Trudy Wohan Franzen.
She is a pastor in El Dorado Hills, which is close to here.
Okay, good. Would you be interested in saying anything about polarities? The tendencies to feel like one has to choose one side or the other, or else be vilified. I like that very much because I like to talk about that because there's so many polarities in our theology, saint and sinner, simul justus et peccator, but these polarities are killing this country, and this is how we're training each other. We demonize people we don't like. We get with a group. We're not cross-pollinating. We're not cross-pollinating. So I think that I've been listening to Richard Rohr. He's a Franciscan, a Jesuit. Is he Jesuit? He's Jesuit. He's Franciscan. And he does a beautiful thing with polarities and with being dualistic. He calls it being dualistic, which means that it's easy and it's lazy. I'm not speaking for him, because then I don't want somebody to say, he did not say that. It's lazy. It's lazy, in my opinion, to just do, are you for and against? What's your vote? Well, that's not how the church works. We don't work by vote. Our constitutions make us do that, but in general, it's not consensus like the Quakers. By the way, that's also another system that's not easy. Even the Quakers say that's not easy. It takes a very long time. But voting and saying majority rule isn't the answer either, because this is the body of Christ, and we're hurting each other. And the metaphor for the church is the body of Christ. And so how can you say, I'll cut off my arm because I don't like it? That's very dualistic because it's hurting me. Or if you think about it, with your own body, if you're troubled, let's just say you have a mental illness or something, you don't cut off your head and say, you work with healing it, and you get all the supports around you so that you would be attended to. And if you have cancer, you get the supports around you to heal the hurt. And so I don't know if that's answering the question, but as Christians, our spiritual maturity, and by the way, I'm calling on the elders to do this, don't be taking sides and be a little bit more humble about you might not know what's going on. One of my favorite quotes is this. You'll hear it again sometime. Everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle you know nothing about. Amen. Be kind. It's not easy to be kind, but sometimes a person is traumatized or it triggers. And I tell, even as bishop, I went to a therapist to help me know my childhood. Like I grew up in New York and Queens, and I can fight. You're on notice. I can fight. What I had to learn as a pastor is, like my therapist says, what were some of the things you could have done, Claire? I'm like, what is he talking about? That came with years of practice. Some people, in our dean's meeting, we were laughing one time, we say, people are usually, and this is kind of dualistic to even say this, but I'm going to do it to make a point. Mad people and sad people. Mad people and sad people. It's usually trauma and pain. Some people show their pain by getting mad and being reactive and yelling, and some people internalize it and get depressed. But it's still hurt, it's just expressed way. So let's practice. I'm not going to be teaching you. We could actually bring in someone for some seminars or maybe a Zoom seminar on this very thing, because the whole country is like this now, and we've been doing it for many years now, and we can't stop without practice. Okay.
There's a question here.
Yes, Bill Wong.
Hello, Bill.
Member of Incarnation in Davis and retired. We'll see, right?
I heard you weren't so retired last year.
When you notice or deal with racism during your tenure here, what's your approach to that, or how will you handle that?
Racism in general?
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get into any specifics because I don't have any specifics to hand over to you, but in general, and then we can continue the dialogue later.
I'll tell you what I did. So I knew that I was going to retire in 2018, so this is only 2018. But 2017 was the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. So most of the synods were having their 500th anniversary of Reformation on the 17th, in 2017. I did our Reformation. This is how I think. So just this will help you see how I think. I said to our synod, I want to do our Reformation service in 2016. And they go, but it's not the right year. Yeah, but I said, well, what can we do? We can get all the opportunities together and all the resources together. So in 2017, our churches will have, and we had speakers on the Reformation and everything. But then they would have, and we even had Peter Donahue, the Augustinian president of Villanova. So he wore his brown, Martin Luther with the leather bag, he wore, and he was the preacher at our, and we purposely had our Reformation service because the Catholic diocese in Philadelphia was not happy about celebrating the Reformation anyway. But what we did was, because so many families got hurt, Catholic Protestant families, we did the Geneva one where they all repented and they lit candles and to heal the families. Okay, I'm telling you that. So we had this big Reformation thing in 2016. Why did I do that? Why did I insist on that? I mean, people weren't fighting me because they didn't really have a theme for the year anyway. Because in 2017, the whole synod was on racism, top to bottom. And that's where I could preach, talk about my own experience with racism, and also with my leadership, challenge everyone to look at it clear in the eye and not be afraid of the demon and to cast it out. And also to learn and to have friends of other, when I say you have friends of other racial groups, when I say a friend, I mean, are you at their house for dinner? Do you know what their children's names are? Don't call somebody a friend if you don't even have their cell phone in your contact list. That's not a friend. That's an acquaintance or somebody that you happen to know. But if you're not in people's homes and it could be something else, but it's not the same thing as a friend. So we had a very hard but truthful with our own synod, with our own racial issues, and knowing that I wanted to prepare the synod to be open to a person of color as the new bishop. Who was elected? Patricia Davenport, first African-American bishop of the ELCA. Surprised me because I didn't think they would elect a woman after having a woman. I was like in the old days thinking, well, they had one, they're not going to have another one. But anyway, one of the reasons why Pat was elected bishop, she was the Dem, she was trusted, she had been to it wasn't just picking some random person, she had been to all of the churches over her years as the mission director, and she started an African-American church and was successful and organized. So she was trusted. She can tell the truth, but she loves the people. So I think it's all about relationship. And I think what breaks down first is what? Relationship. Because of that polarity thing. Okay. Elizabeth Hood. I can hear you. Sounds good. Oh.
Anybody else?
That's the other.
Who would like the mic? Amy.
Amy Kinsley, associate pastor at St. John's in Sacramento. I know you said you'll be strategic about visiting, but is there a way that the pastors and the congregations, help you in your listening and learning? Like, would you like us to make invitations, or will you be?
Honestly, I think you should work through your deans, because otherwise it's going to be first come, first serve, and I don't want it to be like that. But I was thinking, one of the things I thought would be kind of nice would be to maybe have, something like this, with like 2 adjacent conferences. In the case of Nevada, that maybe not. But if that works out, where we could start to bring each other together, because what I'm hearing, and I've only been here 2 days, is you all don't know each other. And not like we did in Southeast Penn, where people would be like, oh, I haven't seen you. I mean, even like, hey, Bill, over there. But you need to learn, you need to know who each other are. And the pandemic really did that. And there's so many new people, new lay people, new pastors, new deacons in the synod. So I was thinking that maybe, I don't know how we're going to do this. It's only a year. I had 12 years. And I don't want to be on some kind of a like dog and pony show. Because to me, as the interim, it's not about me preaching. It's about me working to do what I know how to do from my years of experience. Because the next bishop is not going to have 12 years experience. And so that's good, because we all learn as we grow. And I said when I was reelected, I said to the people, you elect a pastor. You elect a pastor. You don't elect a bishop. You elect a pastor and you raise up a bishop. So I want to give that kind of way. So if maybe the deans, maybe I would like a meeting with the deans to say, what are some strategic ways to do this? Help me. Maybe look at the calendar. Then, because I don't want people saying, she came to your church, she didn't come to my church. You have 160 churches, so maybe you would vote. Maybe it would be an evening. I don't know. You dream it up.
May I respond to this?
I sent an email to Frank Espegrin, hopefully once he's back from vacation or so, to have a gathering on a Saturday for laity, for clergy at St. John's, and invite neighboring conferences, possibly in September. So that is, once Frank is back, maybe you can all talk about whether your schedule would allow that.
One of the things we did in Southeast Penn for years, we dreamed it up and then we did it every year. We had our vice presidents come from all over the synod on a Saturday morning. We could do it at Southeast Bend. We have to dream it up a different way. And they met each other. And we even had what I call speed dating for this. So we set up the tables and we had like 5 minutes each. And one would move to the next chair while the other one stayed. And they talked about each other. And they talked to each other, so they got to know each other. And then they were finding connections. What do we have in common? With Zoom and everything now, great ideas can go, some vice president or officer or something can have a great idea in conference 3 and tell all the other conferences, So I think that I want to get the lay people together. I am not a clergy-centered. When I first did this, the clergy were mad. They said, why are you meeting with the lay vice? It was the officers. And I said, we're not talking about you. They don't know each other. And a couple of pastors felt it necessary to even come to the first meeting. And I said, I just wanted to show you, we're meeting each other. They're volunteering their time to be the vice president, and they need some capacity building. And what's good is then they get to know the bishop personally. They feel if there is trouble, there is a way to contact the office without feeling like the bishop doesn't know who they are. This is a big synod. I don't know how I'm going to do it here. It's not the same as having brunch and being gone by noon, like we do in Philly. Yeah. But can I just invite the deans to strategically start thinking about that, because you know the synod better than I do.
I'm out. There we go. Scott Sorensen. I'm the interim at Shepherd of the Hills in Vacaville, and I'm sure meeting with the synod staff, you probably heard we have over 60 congregations in transition in this synod. So that is its whole self of issue of a huge percentage, and that's one of those things that having a bishop and staff, it just eats up staff time. So what sort of experience can you bring in from Southeast Penn? And by the way, one polarity, Pat or Geno's? I mean, or is it both?
No, I don't need any of them either, because it's too greasy for me.
Okay. But how about just the number of congregations in transition?
Honestly,
that we have?
I do have ideas. I have ideas which I've been talking about. I mean, that has to get under control, and it's way too many in terms of doing a good job with the call committees, and also how do you vet the candidates for these churches? And that's a lot of background calling. So I don't want to talk about it tonight, but I do have, because this is what I did before. I can't get ahead of it and not talk about it, because I like to brainstorm. If I tell you tonight, then you'll say, well, she has this idea. Well, no, because we didn't decide it's an idea. Maybe you would tell me it doesn't work here. But I think I'd like to coordinate things so that it's not all on the staff position. I have some ways to do it. Not just the Southeast Penn way, several ways it can be done. Other places, other synods do it other ways. Would you like to know about those? Not tonight, but I mean, that's what I bring to this. I can ask some of the larger synods like Grand Canyon Synod, how do you do it? New England Synod, large territories, how do you do it? Southeastern Synod, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Tennessee. That's one synod. I'll ask that bishop, how do you do it? That's what I do. I have a lot of people I know. I ask them stuff, and they tell me. I don't make it all up, but I do have a lot of people up. But that was on my mind. That was shocking to me. That was like a whoa.
There is kind of unclear question online.
Louise, M. Key. Mark Carlson, me. Mark Carlson. Getting exposed to TV and radio ads and banners on signs about the August 2nd vote on abortion and reproductive rights in the Kansas Constitution. A polarity. Oh, okay. I'm so grateful for the ELC's social statement on abortion and Bishop Eaton's recent statement. And what would Kathleen Segerhammer Hurdy say? Yeah. Honestly, our treasure, law and gospel is a polarity, and we have good theology about this. We just need to kind of lean into it a little bit. I'm grateful too. We got, you know what I thought was so fun? I don't know, I'm not assuming everyone's on the same page. But does anybody remember Nuns on the Bus? It was like my favorite thing. So these were all Catholic hospital administrators. And they were saying that family planning was important, especially for people in poverty. And the Catholic Bishop Conference censured them. And they said, no, we're going to send a bishop to monitor you. And they said, oh, no, you don't. And they got on a bus and they went all over the country. Administrators of the social ministry organizations. Do you remember those nuns on the bus? I thought that was the greatest thing. They were so active about right to life of the people who were born and how the people in poverty suffer the most when there's no family plan. Because they're not just talking abortion, it's contraception too. And they basically went all around the country and said, we are fighting for good health care. That's how we help our children and our families and things. So, yeah, we can do it. That's why we love our social ministry organization. None of the other denominations have social ministry. Can I say that? Like we do. One out of every 49 people in the whole country is being serviced by a social ministry organization. And we'll be happy to know Southeast Penn had 15 social ministry organizations in our small thing. So it's a big part of it's our justice ministry. It's our justice ministry maximized. No congregation could do what our social ministry organizations do.
The next one is just a thank you to you.
Ingrid, thank you for feeding our sheep and helping us heal. Yeah, thank you, Ingrid. Yeah, I thank you too. I thank you all for being here. For welcoming me. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling people are wanting to love one another. Am I wrong? You want it. You don't want to be under this stress. But it's not going to be swept under the rug. Just saying that. I'm just saying that. Okay. What else? Well, hey, what time is it? What should we be doing?
5 o'clock somewhere.
5 o'clock. I have a 7 a.m. flight out tomorrow, so I got to go to bed early tonight.
There's somebody I would like to thank, and that is not for you.
Yeah.
That is Gail.
Gail,
would you please come forward? You have been modeling to all of us in the Synod servanthood, calmness, just wow. And thank you for just devoting countless hours to this process. I mean, just it's unbelievable. So I hope you will have some use for this in your home.
It will be planted in my garden
and
wherever it's going to go. Yeah.
Thank you for all you have been doing as acting bishop to tend Christ's sheep.
And for another 2 weeks. You know what? Can we actually say to Gail can take a rest. Gail can take a rest. She deserves. This is what I'm talking about. It's time for Gail to take a rest, not to leave, but just to get her strength back, because she's been doing it behind the scenes in ways you don't even know. It's because of Gail that I decided to say yes to coming here, not to Bishop Eaton. My conversation with Gail.
I'm stepping away, but I'm not gone, so I'll be around, so don't worry. I'll resurrect myself somewhere. I don't know exactly where, but you'll see me again.
Are you still offering to play the organ?
Oh, absolutely. I will definitely come. Not the organ.
Play piano?
I will come and sub at your congregation's piano. I hope you don't mind piano. But I'm happy to do that to give your church musicians a rest, because they deserve it too.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Welcome.
Thank you, folks.
All right, those of us in Nevada, did I say that right? Yes. I already learned. Nevada. Nevada. I was practicing the wrong one.
They want an office in Reno.
Okay, Joseph Johnson, member of Lord of Mercy in Sparks, Nevada. Going back to a previous question, sometimes those of us in Nevada feel a bit lost. That's why I came here. That's why I came to Reno today. No, although living in Nevada, is that right? May prove problematic, would it be possible to have an office in Reno Sparks and fly out of the Reno airport? Just a thought. I don't know. I don't know. I will say one thing. The physical place of the building and the office is outdated. It's an outdated concept. And we can do it in so many different ways. Although I love to see you in person. This would not have been the same thing with all of you being tiles on Zoom. No question about that. But I think we need to... Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait. He's doing great. Jeff, I actually said... When I met him the other night and we went out to dinner, he picked me up, Gail and Jeff picked me up at the airport. I went, oh, you're the one who had the heart attack. I even knew that. But he's doing very great. He is doing very great. Housing costs are cheaper. That's good. Honestly, I will tell you this. I think we need, as the Lutheran Church, to be ahead of the game and say we have a portable faith. We have a portable faith. We have to find a way to show that we are not our buildings, we are a portable faith. And I'll tell you what I told the Southeast Penn one time. You know, I was going around all those anniversaries, and you know how many anniversaries they have in Pennsylvania, and they're all 300 years old. I would say maybe in 12 years, well, maybe I brought this up maybe 10 years in, that I would go to an anniversary of a congregation. This was their anniversary book. The building and the pastors. Not a word about the people or the ministries or what they did, what the Spirit of God was doing. And I basically said, honestly, start talking about not the building and the pastors, but also the people, the saints of God, on the move and out doing the Spirit's work. So, and social ministry. Okay, anything else? I did not find out about your visit until after you had left.
I can address that if you want.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I just.
Oh,
Is this
sorry.
on? Yeah.
I thought you were going to address that.
Just a quick. Keith Montag from this
What's your
church.
name?
Keith Montag from this church. It sounds like what you actually need is about a 40-foot motorhome and a driver.
Do I look like the motorhome type?
No. I'm just, think about the logistics here because you could go to all the 160 churches. You could park in their parking lot. You could actually be mobile. The mobile you just talked
I
about.
could have a chauffeur and be modal.
What?
I don't need a motorhome. There's other ways of being mobile.
But we think outside the box out here still.
Yeah.
Nice.
My younger brother was Liza Minnelli's chauffeur.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
That's a story. He lives in L.A. now. That's it.
So I just want to address really quick, Joe, your comment. Yes, we worked really hard. As you heard, it was a really short span of time in which we were trying to throw together this Bishop's Tour. And we did try to get a central location in the Nevada area for a meet and greet such as this, and it just didn't quite work out.
Because it's Monday.
Partly because it's Monday.
Because people are working.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. And so my apologies that we didn't make it happen, but you didn't miss out on a gathering that didn't happen.
But
anyway.
we could do this in other places.
Indeed.
And if you do it later in the afternoon,
yes,
people can come.
Yeah, we'll be making plans for when Bishop Clare is here for a longer period of time. So thank you to those of you who joined us online. Thank you to all of you who joined us in person. And thank you to Bishop Clare for your willingness to come and be with us in this time and place.
Thank you. 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 Thank you.
Just a reminder that we have plenty of amazing looking goodies out there, and coffee and water, and take time to visit. I don't think there's a hurry that you have to leave right away, but blessings to you. Go in peace.